Admiral's Log, date April 3rd, 1902. The St. Vincent, one of our newest battleships, has had a vicious encounter with a German battleship. Both ships fought to within an inch of their lives. How the German sailors kept their ship afloat in spite of all the damage taken is still unknown. There were some back home who criticized the performance of the captain in saying that he made an effort to retreat. Thereby he would be breaking one of the rules the Prime Minister had laid out for the Royal Navy. When asked, the captain informed me that he was in fact not retreating. He turned the ship at an angle that was more favorable to both launch the lifeboats to board the wounded German warship, as well as shout insults at the German ship, hoping to finally sink her with that. The captain of the Vincent also reported that the ship suffered an inexplicable failure to the turret mechanics of all turrets. None of the turrets were able to take aim at the enemy. How this has come to be is currently being looked into. I'm writing it off as the result of battle damage, but I am concerned that this can happen again. Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome back to episode 7 of the UK campaign. I have a bit of a curious encounter here. This is a small encounter with the Albemarle, the Erin, the heavy cruisers Baden and Lippe, and light cruisers Arkona and Augsburg. Here's what has me confused. The Erin is one of my older designs. She is, in fact, the last of the standard Rodney-class battleships. But she's in being. She's not even in sea control, so I'm not sure why she is even encountering anything. She really shouldn't be. The Albemarle, however, is. And this is one of the interdictor-class battleships. It has less of a heavy armament, but it is a lot faster. I designed these things particularly to hunt down cruisers. Heavy cruisers, light cruisers, anything that's particularly quick. Let's see if they can actually perform that duty. The Albemarle is in the lead. Let's have these guys operate as two separate ships. For now, I'm going to keep them both at around 20 knots. Just to make sure that if I encounter the enemy, we'll have maximum firepower. But soon, it's going to be time to hit the gas, or rather hit the coal in this case, and start eliminating the enemy from close range. Because 9-inch guns, they need to be quite a bit closer in order to do damage. I do have, actually, no, I have standard, I have standard complement shells, but they are heavy shells. So hopefully I'll be able to still inflict a lot of damage with those 9-inchers. And they are the more modern Mark IIIs, which allow for faster reload and faster aim time. Now, this, I suppose, is one of their heavy cruisers. Considering the angle and my limited amount of firepower with the 9s, I think it's not that likely to be penning them. Not with the Albemarle. The Erin might. The Erin might. Let's turn to port, cross their T, slow this ship down to 16, 17 knots, something like that. The turning circle on the Albemarle is 779. On this ship it's 607. So the Albemarle, with her high speed, is less favorable to short-range warfare. But using her speed, I can dictate what range I want to fight at. So that is my big advantage with these ships. I'm also interested to see how well the enemy can pen my ship. The 6-inch guns of these ships should also be very nice in aiding the fire setting ability. Come on, identify the ship. 68%. Okay, we're almost there. Now, let's do a visual inspection of the Albemarle, in case you haven't seen this design. 9-inch gun on the bow, 9-inch gun on the stern, triple 6ers on the starboard and the port side. Although this turret is currently unable to fire, because it cannot rotate anymore. Now, it looks like one of these shells caused quite a bit of damage. Hold on, against... Yeah, no, against this ship. It's a 6-inch gun, so I'm writing it up to this one. Unless it was the... Yeah, no, sorry, it was the Erin. The Erin's 6-inch gun was able to hit the main belt of the heavy cruiser Baden and cause an ammunition detonation. And with that, half the ship is gone. That is quite nice. Now let's slow you down, because I don't think that the Germans are going to be coming any closer than this. At least not yet. The slower we go, the more accuracy we get. The Erin is, in this case, slightly more favorable because she has a veteran crew versus the Albemarle's only trained crew. And that accuracy really kicks in, because I get a 30% accuracy bonus on the Erin. These guys only get a 3% accuracy bonus. They are, however, equipped with the better Coincidence Rangefinder 2, as opposed to the Erin's Stereoscopic Rangefinder 1. Now, the main difference between Stereoscopic and Coincidence is that the Coincidence Rangefinder is able to acquire a different target faster. The gun aiming speed is higher, which means that if you're targeting, for example, first the Baden and then I'm going to switch to the Lippe, I can do that, and the aim time will be reduced. Whereas a Stereoscopic Rangefinder is one that benefits more from long-range warfare. What exactly constitutes long range, I don't know. Now, according to the game, I have a 20% chance to pen the Baden with the Albemarle. That is pretty terrible. So for now, I am definitely going to be sticking to the 6-inch high explosive and the 9-inch high explosive. Because I don't think that any other option is going to be very favorable at this point. Maintaining pressure on the enemy. I want to try and sink the Baden before she turns back. Come on, get those 11 inchers. Yes, there we go. Flooding. Sadly, on the seemingly damage saturated bow, so it's unable to do any further flooding. And now she's turning back, making the angle of pen for the Baden less favorable as seen from the Erin. Light cruiser Augsburg is coming in with her 5-inch guns, but I think they're going to struggle to do damage. Yeah, 9% chance to pen, 17% chance to pen the Albemarle, because the Albemarle classes have less armor, generally. Okay, we're going to switch over. And pen chance is decent. Let's switch to auto. This way, hopefully the 6-inchers will still be firing HE. And the 9-inchers will be firing AP. The Erin lost a secondary gun. Okay. Come on, finish off the Baden so we can start focusing on the light cruisers. That was quite the bang. I thought I lost the turret. Now, Albemarle, this is the moment where you prove yourself. This is the moment where you show what you can really do. Everything AP. I'm going to see if I can eliminate the ship quickly. The Augsburg is either trying to shield for the crippled Baden or is just being stupid. I'm writing it up as the latter. Because being in front of the Baden is not really where you want to be in a light cruiser. Because I don't think that an 11-inch shell is particularly going to stop. It's going to go inside the light cruiser one side, outside the other, and potentially still hitting the Baden. Hitting the Baden on the way out. Oh man. It's a brave effort. I mean, if you look at it different, the Augsburg could be smoking up the heavy cruiser, leading to a loss of accuracy on the Erin. But I don't think that that was their intent. I think the Augsburg is trying to hold formation with the Lippe and is thereby trying to pass the Baden, but at a rather unfavorable time. How much damage have you done? 454. So when it comes to damage dealing, the Erin with her 2800 is far more effective. These guns have done 1200 damage, and that is not even considering there are explosions. There were no flash fires or any such thing. I want to have the Albemarle eliminate the Lippe, so we're going to increase speed. Prepare the torpedo launchers. We are carrying the slightly... Or was that the different class? No, it's a different class. I thought we were going to say the slightly better Mark II torpedo tube, but sadly not. Why did you switch fire? Because you're almost hitting the Albemarle. And I don't want you to. We need to finish off this heavy cruiser. A dead ship is always preferential above a heavily crippled ship. There will always be some gun that fires back at you. Flooding on the bottom, very good. That is a compartment amidships. Interestingly, no engineering damage on that ship yet. Now, the Albemarle has been able to severely damage the Lippe. She just popped a torpedo, but I think that the Lippe is gonna... Yeah, she already detected that and she's dodging it. Due to engine efficiency, the ship is very quick to come back to high speeds. Go back to auto selector, because we're likely to not take any kind of AP damage this way. Oh. That's unfortunate. Charge this guy down. And over here, the Erin. Yeah, there you go. That's not the compartment. Now she has engine damage. I like how the Erin is basically showing the Albemarle. This is how it's done. And the Albemarle is going, look, Dad! I'm shooting them! And I'm doing damage. This is the point where the German cruiser is probably concerned about her lack of torpedo launchers. Because that could have very easily made a ton of difference. Because I would not have approached the 500 meters. I mean, to shout insults, to be sure. But beyond that, it would be very dangerous. Now this is when those 6-inch guns become lethal. Main belt, partial pen. Baden sinks, very good. Torpedo launcher away. Well, we didn't throw the torpedo launcher at them, but the torpedo is away. 6-inch belt, pen, 37, 36. I think this ship is done for. Especially considering she got hit in the bows. Yeah, she's toast. Alright, we're going to slow the Albemarle down some. Make sure that she can turn. And then we're going to go right back to picking off light cruisers. This ship is getting hit from 2 different directions with all various sorts of calibers. 3-inch, 4-inch, 6-inch, 9-inch, and 11-inch. And she is not particularly enjoying the attention. Now these guys I have to be a little bit more careful with. Because they do have torpedo launchers. Out to a range of 1.5. So it's not something I really want to get close to. We need to switch fire to the Ancona. Sorry, the Arcona, and make sure that she doesn't close in too much. Both of these guys are inside of a smoke screen, making it more difficult to kill them. Current speed, 14 knots, which means that my turning circle is vastly improved. %50 chance to pen a light cruiser? Wow. Are you that heavily armored? 2 inches basically everywhere. 38%? So, that's what? 2.8 inches of armor? It's not that stellar. You can surely do more than that. Switch to AP. Augsburg looks to be flooding and crippled. I am getting dangerously close here. I said I wanted to try and avoid that, but here we are. There's the torpedo. Return torpedo from the port launcher against the Arcona. The Arcona used her port side launcher. So since the Albemarle is already turning, my torpedo is not a problem. Or their torpedo is not a problem, but mine is. And squarely strikes the Arcona mid-section. I can end the battle, but no. We're going to let these guys fight it out. Yep, I was kind of expecting that. Increase the flank. Somebody had a flash fire. Oh shit. Were they predicting that turn? Or that increase in speed? Hardly. Good. So who had a flash fire? You had a flash fire? Yeah, several in fact. Ooh. Careful with those shots. I would like the Albemarle to come out of this battle with as little damage as possible. This should be doing it just fine. A little bit more damage to the stern. And that's an excellent first run of these interdictor class battleships. Secondary towers out, 3 engines are out. The ship's already powering through the water once again, trying to get to 27 knots. Which for these battleships is a ridiculous amount of speed, considering the era. I'm going to carefully approach from the side here, because the chances of getting this ship torpedoed are still present. Overall damage performance, 4,900 for the Albemarle. So the other 9,000 is done by the Erin. The Erin, which temporarily needs to stop firing as the Albemarle is going to pass in front of her. Another torpedo out from the Albemarle. Come on, buddy. Take the... Whoa! Take the hint. And sink. Sink! Sink! End the battle! No! Shit. Ah. Did that actually register? Damage received. It did not register. Okay. Because that should have easily been a lot... No, actually it did. The Albemarle did take a torpedo hit. She also gained quite a bit of XP. I think this goes on the scale of 100. So that means that her sailors are no longer just the rookie crew or the regular crew. They're now better. Good. Nice amount of victory points for us. Not so many for the Germans. Damage to the Albemarle was light. She is going to be 2 months until she gets fully fixed. Excellent. A few months later, the British Empire has blockaded the German Empire. I'm not sure why this took more time, but here we are. I have a total of 327,000 tonnage versus their 279,000, so we're not that far apart. My power projection, however, with my battleships is far greater than theirs. So these guys are going to be suffering from a lot less income than they would normally get. I'm going to see about fighting to the end one more time and seeing if I can force another encounter, but I think that there's not going to be that much happening. Ah, the Vanguard! Fantastic. The namesake of the ship, or the name giver. Against the Kaiserin Augusta and the Rostock. Let's fight it out. Bow turrets at the ready. These were the ones that have the dual 11-inch bow turrets. And against a heavy cruiser, that's going to be very nice. The 7-inch guns are going to be potentially extremely dangerous to a heavy cruiser. More even so than the 6-inchers. Because I think that from greater range, these are going to be more useful when firing AP. The 4-inch turrets, mostly there to deal with smaller ships. But against a light cruiser, shouldn't be a problem. The Vanguard, being a newer ship, has only a trained crew. So sadly, she is not going to be that capable when it comes to the accuracy department, although she already gains an 8.1%. That's not terrible. I'm going to slow all the way down. 4 knots, something like that. So I can use both bow turrets simultaneously. The moment the ship turns port or starboard, I lose the ability to do that. I'm going to have to be turning all the way port or starboard in order to use, for example, the 11-inch and the 13-inch. Let's see if we can get a nice shot from this ship as she prepares to fire. Yep, there we go. Shells out, no hits. No damage either, by the way. None whatsoever. Maybe the cruiser is benefiting from the smokescreen. That could be it. Now the Vanguards have been given an unbalanced rudder, which means that as they're turning, they lose more speed. But this also gives them a faster rate of turn, so their minimum turning circle is even less. It's 491 meters, which means that this class of battleship currently takes the cake when it comes to very quickly changing direction. Which is ideal for knife fighting. So in case you're dealing with a bunch of torpedo boats or a bunch of heavy cruisers or light cruisers armed with torpedoes, these can be extremely useful. Nice bit of damage there against the Kaiserin. which seems to immediately start turning away. I can hit her stern now, and that means rudder damage, ideally. Flooding? Nope, midships. Interesting. Still bad news, because that means that they could lose an engine. Let's put the port side guns on the Rostock. Or well, every secondary gun, that is. Yeah, there we go. We're starting to not deal any more damage against the Kaiserin, because she is pretty much angled to a situation where I cannot reliably do anything. Can you do anything, Rostock? No. Not really. That can mess up my superstructure, though. Now, I basically have these guys where I want them, because the Kaiserin and the Rostock have split. Meaning that I can now speed back up again, and I can have the Vanguard use her torpedo launcher against the heavy cruiser, considering that she is not carrying one herself. I can safely close the distance. The Rostock was close, but isn't. And that means a lot less opportunity for them to torpedo me. Vanguard taking some hits, but generally not damage. I would love for the 13-inch on the stern to deal damage against the Rostock, but you cannot have your main guns firing at two different targets. So it's just going to be the 7s, the 4s doing that. And so far, they haven't really performed that much. Okay, that was a total ricochet of the Kaiserin. You can see the shells bounce off. Did she lose a 5-incher? Yeah, he did. She has plenty of those 5-inch guns left. Shouldn't be an issue. Now these guys can do 21-7, I can do 24, and I'm doing 24. Ooh, there you go. Rudder damage. Ideally, completely crippled rudder damage, beyond repair. I'm gonna hold off on the torpedo, though, because if I launch a torpedo from this angle, I'm not likely to hit. They'll just slightly turn back to port and they'll be safe. This exact ability to dictate who I fight and where I fight them and what sort of encounter it's going to be is why I want my ships to be fast. This makes them so extremely dangerous in this sense. Because it's not the enemy who decides when we fight. It's the Vanguard. Yeah, her rudder damage is permanent because the rudder compartment's underwater and cannot be fixed. Have we just not hit the Rostock at all? We've hit her 5 times out of 180? That's fairly lackluster. You know what? We're going to let the Rostock help. We're going to go starboard alongside the Kaiserin Augusta. Thereby, if the Rostock wants to fight, she can fire her 5-inch guns directly into the Kaiserin. So I'm going to use her as cover. While I come alongside and then prepare to do a full broadside with the 13, the 11, the 7 and the 4. That is, if there is still a ship at that point. And of course, in good British fashion, we can still shout insults at the enemy. I need to make sure I have at least some range, otherwise torpedo launching is impossible. That was definitely a 13-inch hit. Yep. That was 2 13-inch hits, so both shells hit the target, dealing 71 and 394 damage. Those things are ridiculously deadly if they hit. So, you may commence shouting your insults. As long as it's in British fashion, though. Torpedo weight, port side. It's going to hit their midships, which is perfect because they weren't flooded there yet. Seems that the ship has a bit of fire problems. Maybe further instigated by my high explosive shells. Come on, keep putting pressure against the Kaiserin. Seven-inch causing flooding. Basically everything causes flooding at this angle. Some light flooding on the Vanguard stern, so that's rudder compartment. But no damage to the rudder itself. Kaiserin is done. Let's do what we do best. Chase down the enemy. I have one funnel which has taken some damage. Shouldn't be that bad. There you go. How many hits was that? Just the one? Oh. Felt like more than that. I'm going to slow down more. Start a heavy turn, because the Rostock will launch a torpedo at me. And if you're already in turn, then the AI doesn't know how to get that torpedo to connect with your ship. There it is. Torpedo away. The torpedo is going to completely miss. So now I can speed back up a little more. All the while doing damage against the Rostock. These 11-inchers, they've done 2600 damage. This thing has done 733. All shells from the 13-incher have connected with the target. That's impressive. The 7s, 170 damage, 210 from the 4-inch guns, and the torpedoes, 533 damage. There is likely another torpedo coming, because the stern launcher from the Rostock is going to pitch in. So I'm preparing to speed right up. I'm not seeing any damage to the stern torpedo launcher. Oh, hold on. Oh! I was considering the ship has torpedo launchers all around. It does not. It does not. So I really don't have to worry about it that much. And I can just cripple this ship. And finish her off. The Vanguard has lost some crew. But considering the encounter, it could have been far worse. One thing I want to see changed about the game, and especially the damage model, is currently you have the, let's say, the underwater compartments, which some of those are flooded. But why wouldn't water also go to the second layer of the ship? It's always only the bottom layer. Why would it not reach the next deck? If there's too much water pressure, for example on the stern, the ship, let me pause this for a second, the ship could stand on her stern, if you will. If there is too much water on the whole stern, and especially with the DD, if you just effectively hit her somewhere over there with a torpedo, I would say that most of these compartments should instantly turn red, and if not all flood, leading to an extreme loss of buoyancy, and having the destroyer basically stand on her stern. And in this case it could have been the light cruiser. But the way the damage model is now, you only have the lower level compartments. So it seems that a ship essentially sinks always perfectly horizontally. It always goes down perfectly. Oh shit, now I am coming into torpedo range. Torpedo away from the Vanguard. Hard starboard, shit. All this talking. All this talking. Yeah, I completely deserve that. I completely deserve that. You can now laugh your asses off. Talking about damage models and flooding and torpedo impacts. Promptly gets hit by a torpedo. You cannot make this shit up. Vanguard, we're going to slow down. That was a lot of damage as well. I've lost an engine and a rudder. Okay. Should have paid more attention. Seriously, why are you still here? 3 damaged engine, damaged rudder, damaged conning tower, secondary tower, funnel. Most of the ship is underwater. Yeah, she is extremely stubborn. Oh shit, the Vanguard can only do circles now. I can decide whether I want to turn starboard a little bit or a lot. Okay, so be it. I deserve that. Alright, Vanguard, let's just finish it off, shall we? Not 2 minutes later, the Rostock surrenders and slips beneath the waves. This means that the Vanguard, I'd say this ship performed very well against cruisers, both light and heavy. That's basically her intended target. The previous battle, where I had the St. Vincent, she encountered a battleship which is not necessarily her primary target. These are interceptors. They're capable of going after fast, smaller ships and wrecking those. When it comes to dealing with battleships, they're simply not that suited. Gain a nice amount of XP as well. Now, transport losses. Germany only. More transport losses, but this time for me. No. Light damage to both ships. Torpedo protection 2. Yeah, it's especially useful for me and my inability to navigate around torpedo tubes. 4 large side guns. The combination of advanced ship design and turret technology makes it possible to add up to 4 times large guns on the sides of the hull. Okay. So what sort of design would that be? Because I would have side-mounted guns. I just don't have a battleship hull that's big enough to suit those, I think. Well, unless you want to use something like this. This is the Super Vanguard with double 13-inchers. But just don't expect them to shoot anything outside of that little cone, because they cannot turn at all. And I don't think that there is anything I can do to change that. Unless, potentially, you don't mirror the guns. I wonder if this is even feasible. I would have one 13-incher there. See, because they are offset from the center, I have a serious starboard offset. So I would have one there. And then I would have, I don't know. What? You can have two 13-inchers sitting side by side, but a 13 and a 9 is not okay? That's pretty sad. These guns, by the way, in this position are also pretty bad, because they simply won't turn. Here, yes, they will turn. Anyway, just a little experiment. 1 month later, the Germans have once again asked us for a peace treaty. And this time I have gotten the okay from the Prime Minister. The Germans have effectively come to the table with better terms, and because of that, we are going to agree to their peace treaty. This immediately gets me a new technology. Okay, fine. And peace treaty signed. Now, what you can see here, minor victory, really. What you can see here is that I think it's something that's going to be in the rest of the campaign as well, especially once the diplomacy system is fleshed out more, because you can claim ships. You can claim sort of reparations for the war, and I can do that to the tune of 187 million. Now, I really hope that this is a placeholder number, because considering that their battleships are 6 million, I suppose I could claim their entire fleet. Oh, and I also want your Heligoland base. So, yeah, I still have 100 million left. If you really want to piss off the Germans and humiliate them after the war is over, you just annex their whole fleet. Including, of course, the Bismarck. Although, not that Bismarck. Yeah. And I'll take 44 million as pocket change money. I'm going to propose this. And they're going to say yes. No. They are not going to give me any ships, but they will give me a ton of money, and they will not give me the base. I suppose that this is because I am still running an early version of the campaign, which does not have the diplomacy system. Anyway, that concludes the campaign of the British Empire. There was an overwhelming amount of votes for the German 1910 battle or campaign, so I'm going to be doing that as the next campaign. That means I'm going to speedrun the 1910 one, the 1900 one for the Germans. Might turn that into a video, might not. We'll just see how it goes. Anyway, that'll be all. Thank you for watching the series. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are down below, and I'll see you soon for more videos.